Bang Bang Baby, with its stylized visuals, tells the story of a teenage girl and how her life changed the moment she realized who her father was. As a result of infidelity, chaos is unleashed between the two Italian mafia families, and Alice chooses to be a part of it. With 80s nostalgia playing a pivotal role, Bang Bang Baby is cluttered with popular culture references, be it the television commercials or the craze for all things American. Alice, at times, hopes to be the big babble girl from TV, who could kill her enemies with the burst of the bubble gum, but in reality, she was in dire need of courage and a gun. Alice is an ordinary teenager who is often bullied at school. Her queer best friend, Jimbo, had to face a similar fate, and the two bonded over their quirks. Since her mother was a feminist who worked at the factory and was a member of the union, she took classes that were gendered until then. She attended applied physics classes, while Jimbo chose beauty and wellness. They were rebels in their own way, and they had to face the burn for it as well. Her ordinary day at school turned shocking the moment her teacher placed the newspaper on the desk, a mere coincidence. She noticed the face of her father. He was found naked on the streets of Milan and was arrested by the police. A rush of memories flooded her mind, since she was always told that her father had died when she was young. She remembered that day at the fair, when she and her mother were enjoying a ride, and, after a sudden sound of gunfire, she found her father lying dead on the field. In a moment of anxiety, she binged on sugar. She carried the only photo she had of her father and went to Milan in search of him. The police did not allow her to meet him, so she went to the house she used to live in as a child. She remembered her Nonna Lina and asked for her upon entering. Her grandmother recognized her the moment she looked at her. She knew her granddaughter would come in search of her roots, even though her mother was not in favor of it. Nonna Lina took her to the prison to meet her father, Santo Barone. With his sweet words and charm, Santo won over Alice's trust and made her believe that she was the only family he had. He asked her to clean an apartment for him and to keep it secret, even from Nonna Lina. After meeting her father, Alice knew two things: first, that he was alive, and that her mother lied to her, and second, that by cleaning the apartment, she could win the love and trust of her father. She was willing to do anything for him. She yearned for fatherly affection. The only problem was that she did not know the complexity of what seemed to be an innocent request by her father. The Barone was a mafia family known for their ugly methods of dealing with enemies. The apartment was not like any other. It had a body lying dead, waiting for Alice to clean up her father's mess. What was the Malpensa airport deal? Who was Nonna Lina? The Barone family rejoiced, knowing that the Malpensa airport deal would be successful, but the television news report told a different story. The city council did not vote in favor of the shopping mall that was set to be built there and would be under the control of the mafias. Even after investing money to buy the votes, they were shocked to find that the deal did not proceed according to plan. The Damarino Salvo Ferrau, who was the one they paid money for the smooth transfer of the deal, was nowhere to be found. His wife, Giuseppina, ignored the calls from the Barone family. They realized that something went wrong, and they were determined to find the truth. It was Nonna Lina and her husband's dream for 20 long years to get the deal, and the failure of it made her extremely upset. Nonna Lina had been mourning the death of her husband for 14 years. A flashback reveals that she had beaten him to death in a moment of rage, since he was physically assaulting her. Her husband could not be found. Initially, people assumed he had gone missing, but later, he was considered deceased. Though from the smell and the crack, it can be assumed that she buried the body of her husband inside their house and cemented it to make an altar in his honor. She had a secret affair with his brother, Gambacorta Barone. Nonna Lina gradually became the head of the immediate family, even though she had her challenges dealing in the men's world. What happened to Salvo Ferrau? Salvo Ferrau was declared missing, though his absence became a reason for speculation, considering the timing of it. The Barone family felt cheated, and they doubted his wife, Giuseppina, for his disappearance. His wife mourned the sudden absence of her husband and prayed day and night for his arrival. She started spreading the rumor that he might have run away to Brazil with his secret girlfriend. Nonna Lina found it difficult to accept the truth that she had men follow her. The moment they got to know that Giuseppina had left her house, they followed her to the apartment. This apartment was the same one that Alice's father had asked her to clean. She went there at midnight to find a murder scene that was left untouched. She watched television to recover from what she had witnessed. As she watched her favorite sitcoms, she started to remember how her family used to be. They were cruel and brutal. Her childhood days were spent where adults discussed drug deals and tortured people who tried to disobey. They had a pig that ate the guts out of enemies of the Barone family. She knew she was in trouble, but a part of her hoped to earn the love of her father. When Giuseppina entered the apartment, she met Alice. Upon introduction, she realized that Alice would not harm her. The apartment belonged to Salvo Ferrau and Giuseppina. The body that was lying there was that of Salvo Ferrau. Alice learned from her father that a dead body could be carried after wrapping it with a bedsheet. She applied the same method and carried the body to the garage. Meanwhile, Nonna, Lina and Rocco followed Giuseppina to the building. They asked her for a glass of water to enter the house. Even though the apartment was cleaned and did not have any traces of the murder, Nonna Lina noticed a small piece of glass lying on the carpet. She asked Rocco to go to the garage since she knew that the elevator had reached there the moment they entered the house. Alice hid the body and herself inside the car and escaped from Rocco's eyes. Giuseppina and Alice's father, Santo, were having an affair behind the back of Salvo Ferrau. When he entered the apartment, Salvo found his wife and Santo in a compromising position and threatened to kill them. Giuseppina was ready to face death since she was ashamed of cheating on her husband. Santo tried to reason with him, reminding him of their friendship from childhood, but Salvo could not forgive him for betraying his trust. Santo pounced on him and grabbed him by his neck. He choked Salvo to death. The Barone and Ferrau were two families who were loyal to each other, but it was the affair and the eventual murder that broke all hell loose between the two families. How was Salvo Ferrau's body discovered? Nerio, Salvo's younger brother, was dedicated to finding the truth. He doubted Giuseppina and believed that she knew what had happened to his brother. In an attempt to unmask the truth, he searched her house and found the keys to the apartment. Upon entering the place and not finding any trace of his brother, he started to believe that maybe he had truly disappeared to Brazil. Just when he was thinking that, he noticed his brother's wig hidden under a cabinet. His brother never left his house without the wig, so, according to him, he knew that Salvo was murdered. He started to put the pieces of the puzzle together by doubting Santo's arrest that very night. He was arrested close to the apartment block, and he assumed that it must be him who killed his brother. Santo maintained that he was with a woman named Cleopatra that night. Alice was given the responsibility of convincing the sex worker, Cleopatra, to testify for Santo. After bribing her, she sat down in front of the Ferrau and Barone families and confessed that she was with Santo that night, and as proof, she had the necklace that Alice had provided her with. She claimed that Santo always wore his necklace and that only during lovemaking did he take it off. The Ferrau family was convinced, but not Nerio. Ending explained. Will there be a season 1, part 2? Alice dreamt of going on a trip to Disneyland with her father and Giuseppina, whose company she had started to enjoy. But her sweet dreaming was interrupted when a police dog returned home with a dismembered arm of a man. The finger had a ring, and rumors started to build that it was the arm of Salvo Ferrau. Nerio was furious. He knew that his brother was murdered, and he was prepared to go to any extent to murder Santo. Nerio went to the hospital to identify the arm, and Santo was taken to the hospital after an injury. Nonna Lina had punctured Santo's palm to give him a reason to leave the prison and later escaped from the hospital. Nerio and Santo went to the washroom at the same time. When the police hurried Barone from outside, Nerio attempted to choke Santo with his belt. Santo cried for help, and the police stopped the commotion. In that moment of chaos, Santo fled from the hospital. Giuseppina loved her husband and regretted his death, but she also admired Santo. After she heard of the arm that was found, she was enraged and called Alice. She had trusted Alice to bury her husband in a good spot, hoping to honor him after his death. But Alice burned the car and the body of Salvo in a deserted field. She later took Giuseppina to the place where she had burned the body of her husband. Santo met them there, and Alice thought that was going to be the perfect happy ending, in which the three of them would escape from the situation together. But Santo had some other plans. He could not trust Giuseppina any longer and pointed the gun at her. He was scared that she would confess the truth about her husband's death to the family. Alicia tried to protect Giuseppina, and she pointed her gun at her father. Giuseppina took the gun from Alice's hand and shot herself in the head. Santo took Alice along with him in his car. Nerio, who was following Giuseppina, heard the sound of the gunfire. He, his brother, and his sister noticed Santo fleeing the scene with Alice in the car. Shots were fired, and Santo was injured. Their car crashed into a tree. Santo asked Alice to run, but she chose to take control and drive the car. Santo sat beside her unconsciously as she drove as fast as she could. Nerio, who was pumped with cocaine and revenge, aggressively fired shots. Alice was saved by the technique she learned from the video game, Pac-Man. Video games were on the rise in the 80s, and Alice had learned to escape from the enemy by constantly changing paths in the game. She did the same in the real-life chase, and it worked. While she was able to leave behind the Ferrau brothers, the ghost of her father's misdoing would follow her till the very end. The series started with Alice committing herself to a holy society, and with their help, she acquired a gun and promised to prioritize the society even before her family members. She was given a gun to murder someone who belonged to her family. This promises another season or season 1, part 2 to explain who she intends to murder and what happened after she escaped from Nerio. Since she had helped in hiding the corpse and was the daughter of Santo, she would be the target of the police as well. With the mafia family, police, and the misdeeds of her father haunting her, Alice's life as an introverted teen is completely dismantled. Bang Bang Baby is a visually appealing series that is obsessed with 80s pop culture. Alice sets out on a journey to reconnect with her roots, only to realize that the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. She was much like the members of the dreaded Barone family. She had started to believe that she had a heart of steel. She faced situations that no other teenager had to, and that made her strong and confident. She rose against the bullies at her school, and it was her arrogant charm that started to make her popular in the eyes of her classmates. She enjoyed the chaotic life and wanted to be a part